what really pushed you, what possessed you to do the book? I mean, typically people do a book and then they do the film. You did it the other way. You did it the film, which is probably a heck of a lot more work than the book. But go ahead, can you set up that whole story and how all that came to be, please?
Yeah, I'm visual. So as you mentioned before, I'm a professor of video and photography, professor emeritus. I'm still teaching part-time. They've pulled me in for a few more classes, but
You never leave higher
I
ed.
never leave. No, well, my mom likes to say that I found the perfect job, which is to be a professional student, and I totally believe that. But for the book, I think that the film was actually easier for me in some ways. I didn't know I was going to make a film when I started this project. It was such a personal project, and I always tell my students, the more personal the project, the more universal it becomes. And for me, that was certainly the case. It was such a personal exploration, really, of looking at aging, and it touched a nerve. It really resonated with a lot of people. And I think as the film was out there for a long time and then getting on PBS, and I was getting all these very heartfelt emails from people and conversations with people saying, you really should write a book. And I'm dyslexic. So for me, writing is really a challenge. And so I put it off as long as I could. But then I thought, no, I really need to do this. Sometimes what you resist persists. And I just sat down and started writing. I hired a really wonderful editor, Danielle Pailly, who would checked all my dyslexic mistakes and made sure that we got it out there in a way that she corrected all those things. So I think one of the things that I have learned with making a film and doing a book is make sure you have a good team, because I'm only one person of many. It takes a village to do projects like this. And certainly in writing a book, being somebody who's dyslexic, that makes it a little more challenging. But I also, it just felt like the right thing to do at the right moment. And I think that especially that second half of the book, I'm so heavily involved in wanting to connect generations that it was really a continuation kind of what I had done with Lives Well Lived, because I took the time to, it was during the pandemic, a lot of the time that I was doing these interviews for the book, and I could do interviews with people via Zoom and ask them what their organizations were doing, and that was wonderful. I think that for many people, the pandemic it was not a great time, but for me, I used it as a time where everything stood still and people actually had time to connect. And so I was able to connect with a lot of people that maybe I would not have been able to otherwise, who are just pioneers in their fields of what they're doing. And
How long did the film take in relation to just a comparison of the book project? Because that's the thing people don't understand. You have to devote some time to these things, and it's like it's all good if you invest in yourself. It's not that big a mountain, but it is doable.
absolutely. I mean, we were talking during the break. If you break it down in a number of hours, I think you might not, and realize how much time you spend on these projects, you might not do them if you know that ahead of time. But on the film, I spent 4 years interviewing all the people in the film and then another year of editing. So really 5 years. But as I like to tell other filmmakers, as much time, energy, and money as you put into making a film, it's twice that in terms of getting it out there in the world, because you don't want to just make a film and not have anyone see it. And I think the book is the same way. So the book, you're doing I'm doing other things while I'm working on the film or working on the book, but certainly I'm lucky that that's not the only thing that I'm doing. Is teaching, I'm doing other projects, I'm working on 2 films right now. And I had a professor who once said, and these are very wise words, multiple streams of interest, multiple streams of income. And I really take that to heart. So I'm always working on a number of projects at the same time. I don't put all my eggs in one basket. And I think that for me keeps me really engaged, because I like doing a lot of different things. And each one of the projects certainly enhances and informs the other projects. So I bring little bits of each thing into each other project while I'm working on them. But yeah, it takes a long time to do these things.
It does, Sky. Would you agree with me on that, or would you have another term for something that could propel you, a one word take for creativity, mine being curiosity? What would you say? Perhaps maybe that's yours. Do you have something else?
Well, I have, interestingly enough, I have a quote that hangs above my desk that says, your decision should be based on your curiosity over fear. And I think for me, that's always been the way that I've done things. I tend to say why not instead of saying why. I look at obstacles as challenges, and I am not afraid to ask for help. I think a lot of us, when we work on projects, maybe we think it's a sign of weakness if we don't know how to do something. But I find that a sign of strength because I bring in other people that maybe are doing what I want to be doing and doing it better. And so my whole project ends up stronger as a result. So I think building a network is equally as important. Building a network of people that you can work with, that you can count on, that also can be, your biggest critics and tell you honestly whether your project is working or not. And so that's been something that I've really worked on developing is a good network of people that I can count on.
Start with right after purpose. You had support, positivity, and attitude, and some more other really cool things. Let's talk about the first half of the book.
Yeah, so the tagline of the book is resilience, positivity, and purpose at every age, because I think those things are important no matter what age you are. And we talked about having that sense of purpose. I think the other thing that was equally important was having a sense of community. So feeling like you're part of something. And of course, there's studies now that are coming out that actually the loneliness epidemic, that if you're isolated, it's actually far worse for our health than smoking cigarettes. I mean, let that sink in for a minute. That's pretty amazing that if we're lonely and isolated, it is far worse for our health than smoking a cigarette. That's incredible. And so I think that COVID certainly highlighted that. I see that in my own students at the university, that there is an epidemic of loneliness and social isolation. And so whatever we can do to bring people together, to foster those connections. And I think that, even during the pandemic, there were people that had Zoom parties. And I think just knowing that you have other people out there that you can count on, and it doesn't have to be family, it can be friends, but, really, I was thinking about this the other day. Friendships take some work, and you have to put a little bit of effort into cultivating friendships, and they don't just come. So I think, actively engaging in developing your network of people that you can call your friends and your community, I think that's really important.
Let's talk about that. Friendships take work, effort, your positivity and attitude, resilience, other parts of the beginning of that first half of your book. Go right ahead, please.
Well, I think the other part of that is the resilience and positivity, and I think that they go hand in hand. So, I'm reminded of one of the people in my film, Evie Justison, who talked about reading Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, which, if you haven't read it, it's an amazing book. And he was a Holocaust survivor who couldn't tell based on people's physical strength whether they were going to make it through or not. It was really about their attitude. And I think what Evie has taken away from that book and distilled in me is that there are so many times in our lives when we can't control what's happening around us, but what we can control is the attitude with which we deal with those things, and the way that we also reflect back on the things that have happened in our lives. That really changes how we move forward as well. And so resilience and positivity, I think they go very much hand in hand in that way.
Talk about some of those, because I know what you're going to say because I remember. But please, there's a sure, because there's some amazing stories. You got about 2 minutes
there
here.
are, for sure. I mean, one of the I maybe because I'm in the thick of promoting the book and doing all this work is Jules Hawk had a phrase that he said, or a quote: luck has the aroma of perspiration. And I think, we look at all these people that are doing really well and very successfully, and oh, they're so lucky. And there's a lot of hard work behind that. And I think of that often. But then I also think of one of my favorite people in the film was Dr. Lou Tadone, also known as Lucky Louie. He gave himself that moniker, Lucky Louie. And no matter what happened, he would find the positive side of things. I mean, it was just amazing. And he had a phrase that he would say to everyone that would listen, which is, happiness is a state of mind. You can be happy with what you have or miserable with what you don't have. You decide. And I think that really speaks to the idea that your attitude is really the only thing that you can control. And he was certainly the epitome of that. I mean, it was just an amazing to watch him. And he would make mozzarellas for his daughter's deli every morning. And I'd go over there and hang out with him. And I remember going one time when he was 97 and I said, "Hey, Lou, how's it going this morning?" He said, "Well, it's not like when I was 95." And he just had this attitude of he knew that his body was not what it was when he was younger, but he just still kept going. And he was one of those people that got up at like 5 in the morning and went to the gym first before he started making mozzarella's for his daughter's deli. And if you've never made mozzarella, that is in and of itself a workout to make mozzarella. You're lifting the heavy mozzarella, and it's definitely a workout. So I had some amazing role models. It was just incredible.
People. And I have several I want to go to, but give you a couple minutes to talk about that part of the book, because having an anthology to go along with the inspiration of that interesting, very, very unique way you did that book. Please talk about some of those people and set it up, and we'll come back and we'll finish that thread.
Sure. Well, I mean, a number of the people are doing just incredible work, from Tony Brown, who works for Hearts of Los Angeles, and he developed an intergenerational symphony. He felt like music was such a strong way to connect generations, and I absolutely love that. The Eisner Foundation actually supports that, which is wonderful. A group called CoGenerate, which actually supports other people. I was a fellow of CoGenerate. That's how I met a lot of the people that are in the book. And they support people that are doing amazing work connecting generations. It really more in terms of bringing us together, because we're really kind of lone people out there working, and sometimes it seems like it's really difficult. So it's nice to have the camaraderie of other people who are in that same space. And I mean, just for people that were working with climate change, with voting rights. I mean, just a cadre of really amazing people.
Sky, how would you like people to connect with you and get a hold of you for speaking or consulting or teaching or whatever? Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, the best way to reach me is actually to go to my main website, which is skybergmanproductions.com. And that's just SKYBERGMAN productions.com. And all of the projects that I'm working on are there. And my contact info is there as well.
Quote that I found in your book that I want to ask you about, and then I'll get your takeaway and we'll wrap this thing. This journey changed me. Talk about that.
Yes. Well, I think that, one of the things that I love to say is that in doing the film, I feel like my grandmother left me the greatest legacy with this, which is 40 new grandparents. And you can't help but be touched and forever changed by listening to the words of wisdom from all these people, incredible people that I was able to interview. And I think the second half of the book, hearing all these amazing stories, because all the people that I interviewed that are doing this incredible work connecting generations, I asked them what got them into this. And inevitably, it was something that connected them to wanting to do this intergenerational work. And hearing those stories was just so poignant for me. And then hearing what all these organizations do and how that has affected what the outcome is for different generations. My life is forever changed as a result of that. And I think the key takeaway for me has been really to be open to friendships of every age, to live more fully in the moment, and to be kind to everyone that I meet. And those are the things that I've really taken away from working on the film and on the book.
Sky Bergman is amazing. She is refired. She is doing so many great things, and she will continue to do great things on the cusp of being 60. The stories that she has, the people that she's connected with. Get the book, Lives Well Lived Generations. It's brand new, and it will enlighten you, because the 42 people that she has in that anthology section of the book, it's really an interesting way that she did the book. I mean, I'm very happy for her. And she's her attitude is exactly how she is. She is so awesome. And with that, I will leave you. And as I just said to Sky in our recording session, they call me Papa Tom. Started with my grandkids. Peace out, everybody. Have a great day. Love y'all. Thank you so much for what you do, subscribing, following us, and doing all those good things. Get that book, watch the film, and refire, because it's all about your choice. You either choose to retire or you choose to refire. And believe me, you will refire more times than you know in your life, because people change, things happen, jobs change. That's that. Until next time, peace out. We're out.